Hey, what's going on out there, everyone? My name is Brandon. Today, I've got the one that you've all been waiting for, my top 10 records of 2017. Before I get this list started, I just want to say a few things. First of all, for everyone who's been watching this countdown from 50 all the way to this point, thank you. Couple statistics I want to throw your way. On my list, there were bands from 16 different countries, and there were also 27 different record labels represented in this countdown. So it was definitely a good mixture, a bit varied. Dark Descent knocked it out of the park with a total of 8 records that they had a hand in making on my list. And last thing I'm going to say before I get into this top 10 is what I've said before. This is my list. It's not yours. If there's something on here that you don't like, oh well. If there's a record on here that you really like that I didn't include in my list, I'm only one person. I can only listen to so much music this year. So, with that being said, number 10, Black Cilice. This is Banished from Time. Raw, extremely raw black metal from Portugal. Iron Bonehead Productions release. This, I believe, is the now 4th full-length record from Black Cilice. It's extremely raw. The vocals, compared to past releases, are a little more audible. You can definitely hear some more screaming going on in the background as opposed to this echoing howl in previous releases. By no means is this a polished release. This is still about as raw as it gets. But I do feel like the production on Banished from Time has been cleaned up a little bit. A very little bit. Black Cilice have not really changed their sound. I say they. Again, this is a one-man project. Black Cilice, you know what you're going to get at this point. And to me, you get an all-around fantastic, raw black metal album. My favorite track on here is the final track, Boiling Corpses. It's got a really standout riff. The intro is powerful. I love that track. I love that record. Number 9, Phrenelith with Desolate Endscape. This was a Dark Descent Records release. Misako Unoho released the vinyl version here. Phrenelith from Denmark. This was one of the best death metal albums of the year, and I think that was a consensus pick. I didn't find anyone who disliked this album, and most people who heard this album, this was going to be high up on their list of best death metal albums of the year. Even for some, maybe their album of the year. The overall songwriting when it comes to Phrenelith's Desolate Endscape is death metal perfection. I mean, these guys can write what is, in my mind, the ultimate modern death metal. I mean, they're from Denmark. I would say that they have influences varying from the Finnish death metal scene as well as maybe a little bit of Swedish stuff. Just altogether, I mean, you have songs on here like Conquering Divinity, Defleshed in Ecstasy. My favorite track on here was Channeling a Seismic Eruption, the final track. And I really like it when bands put what I thought was their strongest track as the final track, because when you're listening to an album all the way through, it's kind of like you're progressively building up to a cataclysmic finale, and that is what we got here with Phrenelith and Desolate Endscape. Awesome death metal record. Coming in at number 8, should be no surprise, Cannibal Corpse, Red Before Black. If I was doing this list based on the amount of spins that I gave it alone, this would be number one. But I'm not that much of a homer. I'm not going to put it ahead of albums that I thought were better. But Cannibal Corpse, you all know him. You should all love him. About as consistent as it gets for a death metal band. And this is no exception. I think it's on par with a Skeletal Domain. I don't think it's better than Torture or Evisceration Plague, but it's solid nonetheless. There's some really, really strong tracks on here. Tracks that I think fit in very nicely with the rest of their discography. The title track, Red Before Black. Code of the Slashers, easily my favorite track on here. Probably the song that I've listened to the most this year. And this record's only been out for a couple months now. Firestorm Vengeance, Heads Shoveled Off, Scavenger Consuming Death. Awesome, awesome shit from Cannibal Corpse. I did a review on this album already, so if you want to go back and watch it, I showed off the box set as well, so not going to spend too much time talking about this one, because you all know that I have nothing but good things to say about Cannibal Corpse anyways. So, moving on to number 7. This is Whoredom Rife with Domdad Skvad. Something like that. It's Norwegian, and this is Norwegian black metal. This was released by Territor Possessions, and this was the Norwegian black metal album of the year for me. This is what Norwegian black metal should sound like in the year 2017. Whoredom Rife, absolute nail on the head. Funny thing is, this was a total blind buy for me. I saw it. I had just heard of the name Whoredom Rife. I had not heard any of their music, and I ordered it based off, it was in the Dark Descent Records web store, part of their distro stock, and the cover I thought was awesome. I had heard good things about the band, so there you have it. Some really amazing shit on here. My favorite track, Beyond the Skies of God. Holy fuck. About halfway, 3/4 into that song, there's a riff that comes in that just totally grabbed me. And then from then on, I just kept coming back to this album because I just loved it. I loved it so much. Awesome record. Number 6, Necrot with Blood Offerings. Necrot from California. This was released by Tank Crimes Records. I've had the pleasure of seeing these guys a couple times this year, and absolutely crushing live performance. Only a 3-piece band. This was another strong, extremely strong death metal record in a year with a ton of really strong death metal records. This is another record that I didn't really hear anyone say anything bad about, and another record that a lot of people had, way up there when you're talking about the best death metal records from this year, and with very good reason. I mean, the riffs on this are so undeniably amazing. Songs like Rather Be Dead, Shadows and Light, Empty Hands, amazing stuff from Necrot. I knew once I heard their demos that this band was on the right track. They were on the path to becoming something greater than what they were at that time, and I was not wrong, because with the release of this, their first full-length record, they have garnered a lot of positive attention, even touring, supporting the Black Dahlia murder this year. So, nothing but good things to say about Necrot. Blood Offerings, check it out. I mean, great shit. And then at number 5, a record that a lot of people had as their album of the year. This is Spectral Voice with Eroded Corridors of Unbeing. 3 of the members in Spectral Voice are also in Blood Incantation, so you guys know how much I love Blood Incantation. But Spectral Voice is a different animal. It's death doom. The disembowelment comparisons are spot on, but they're enough where they are their own entity. They're not a disembowelment ripoff. songs like Thresholds Beyond, Visions of Psychic Dismemberment, uh, Dissolution, the final track. All just really kind of hypnotic, doomy death metal. You know, I don't even know why I'm showing this record because you all probably have heard it at this point. I don't really know anyone that's not hopped on the Spectral Voice hype train. But you know, that's a lot of the records that are in this top 10 are in there for a reason, and a lot of people have heard them already because they're that good. So, you know, part of this list is reaffirming what you already know. Part of this is just showing off my tastes, my opinion, and part of it is maybe there's a record that snuck in there that you didn't know. So hopefully you find out about some cool shit. Number 4, Acephalix. This is Decreation, and this was an absolute motherfucker of a record. Kind of came out of nowhere. Acephalix hadn't released a full-length record in a while. It's members of Vastum, members of Necrot, just all around crushing death metal, released by 20 Bucks Spin. Maybe my favorite song of the year is on this album, Suffer, Life in Fragments. The lyrics for that song is, now you suffer fucking life. Holy shit, man. Yeah, this one was one that kind of came out of left field, one that, you know, it was announced, I bought it, and it was fucking just immediately, as soon as I put it on my turntable, fucking crushing skulls, man. Acephalix, Decreation. Strong death metal in a year, chock full of them. Number 3, Undergang with Miss Anthropologi. Dark Descent Records release, Meisako Unoho pressed the vinyl. Another one that's, you know, how much can I say about this one that hasn't been said by a ton of other people this year already. Band from Denmark, definitely rooted in the Finnish style of death metal. The vocals, reminiscent of a band like maybe a little bit of Disembowelment, but also Demolich. They're very deep, very kind of gurgly, and it just totally fits with the dirty, dingy sounding death metal presented here. This is the shortest Undergang full length so far. A lot of these songs are pretty short, but I think that it lends its hand into making this a great album because you can listen to it over and over and over again and not get tired of it. I mean, it's about 30 minutes long. There's a lot of stuff going on here. I feel some Crust influence, maybe some D-Beat influence. Really just an overall very strong release from Undergang. Yeah, I mean, what else can I say? Number 3 on this list. And before I get into the top 2 here, normally there's a record every year that as soon as I hear it, it clicks with me, I fall in love with it, and I immediately know that it was destined to be my number 1 album, my favorite album of the year. This year, I didn't really get that feeling. However, with the 2 of these, this was the closest that I got. So it wasn't a mystery to me that, you know, these were going to be this high up. It was just a matter of which one was going to be 1, which one was going to be 2. So with that being said, number 2, Vulture with The Guillotine. This is released by High Roller Records. Vulture is from Germany. This is an absolute ripper of an album. I mean, they combine elements of thrash, speed metal, heavy metal. Another record that I saw pop up on the 20 Bucks Spin distro, I loved the cover. I listened to the sample track that they had on there, immediately pressed the purchase button. I had never heard of Vulture before. This is their first full length. They've had like a 7-inch come out before. but just storming onto the scene. If you like stuff like Death Hammer or even like older style stuff like Judas Priest, what a fucking record. I mean, kind of at a loss for words because it's absolutely astounding, and it's the perfect 80s style. If you love that sound, it's amazing to hear a record come out in 2017 like it just could have been teleported from that era. Very strong record. Vulture, the Guillotine. Number 1. This is Gorephilia with Severed Monolith. Another Dark Descent Records release. Surprise, surprise. Gorephilia from Finland. If you like the new Morbid Angel record, give this a listen and think about how good that Morbid Angel record is compared to this. I thought the new Morbid Angel record sucked ass. That's just my opinion. But Gorephilia have a very strong Covenant era Morbid Angel feel. Also some Finnish death metal rooted in there. Obviously that's where they're from, but I definitely got a strong Covenant vibe from this record. And the thing that landed this at number 1 for me was song for song, pound for pound. I thought this was the best death metal record of the year. Not a bad song on here. And what sealed the deal for me was the instrumental interlude, Words That Solve Problems, into the track Black Horns. Listen to that shit. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll know exactly why this ended up at number 1 for me, because I'm a death metal fucking fanboy. And this, for my money, if I had to pick one death metal record that I was going to listen to over and over and over and over again, it's going to be Gorephilia, Severed Monolith. So that's it for the top 10, and that covers my top 50 records of 2017. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope that primarily you found some new cool shit to listen to, because that's the ultimate goal of doing a list like this. So thank you for sticking around, watching this video, liking it, subscribing, and until the next time, take care.